Hello and welcome back. For those of us who are a little vague on what exactly the AA 12 steps are, I'll be describing them in this video and providing references and resources down in the drop-down description and discussing my experience with the 12 steps, AA meetings, and an AA sponsor and all that right here in this video. So get comfy. Just a quick note before we begin, down below in the drop-down description, I put links to the 12 steps, the 4th step inventory worksheets, stuff you may need, aa.org, na.org, things of this nature. Hit this drop-down arrow to get down to the drop-down description where I've posted various resources along with my Patreon link. First, let me tell you who I am. My name is James. I'm a grateful recovering addict and alcoholic. I drank and used drugs recklessly for 20 years, and I've been recovering successfully since 2016. I post videos on this channel weekly about sobriety, recovery, addiction, everything in between. Please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, like and share to get it out there. Scroll all the way down if you're on your phone to post a comment. And like I said, in the description, there's links and resources, as well as up in this card up here. So let's just jump right in. The 12 steps of AA, NA, 12-step programs all around. You've heard of them. Steps 1 through 12, they involve admitting we're powerless, making amends, taking a daily reprieve, a daily inventory. Number 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. This one is difficult for some people, and apparently I'm one of those people, because when I was 18, I realized that I was probably an alcoholic, but I told myself I'd quit when I was 25. 25 came around, I said, why not 30? So on and so forth. I'm 38 now. I quit 4 years ago, and I only just realized about 4 years ago what that word powerless literally means. It literally means no power over alcohol. When I consume alcohol, or any mind-altering substance for that matter, as the doctor explains it in the doctor's opinion of the AA Big Book, if you don't have one, get one. The link's down below, or you can read it for free on aa.org. But in the very beginning, the doctor's opinion, Dr. William Silkworth explains how there's two types of people, alcoholics and non-alcoholics. Alcoholics experience a phenomenon of craving when they put any amount of alcohol in their body. And it's a craving that takes over, and he calls it an allergy, which I agree with. It may not be the traditional sense of the word allergy, but something definitely happens when an alcoholic takes the first drink. One is too many, 1,000 is not enough. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Like I said, for years and years, I admitted I was powerless over alcohol, but not really even comprehending that they meant literally. When I consume alcohol, I don't know about you, but I lose control. And if I'm maintaining control, I'm having no fun. It says right here in the book that alcoholics can either control or enjoy their drinking, never both at the same time. And that's the case with me. Step number 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. It took me 10 years to realize that when they meant powerless in the first step, they meant powerless. So step 2, I came to believe that AA can restore me to sanity. And over these 4 years, since I've practiced the principles in all my affairs, it has. And I know it can you too. Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. God. If you're a Christian, great. Your God is established. Whatever you believe, that's perfect. If you don't happen to have an idea of God yet, that's good too. The key words here and in the step 2 is came to believe, and in step 3 is made a decision. We just make a decision to turn our will over to the care of God. God for me means G-O-D, group of drunks. Alcoholics Anonymous, the group of alcoholics that have reformed themselves, have more power than I did. I couldn't get sober on my own power. I started following their suggestions and their principles, AA, and I've been sober for 4 years now. So I have done step 3. I've made a decision to turn my will over to the principles of AA. When I make decisions in life, big decisions, especially involving drugs and alcohol, of course, I go by the principles of AA, doing the next right thing, making amends, daily reprieve, stuff like this. And I stay in AA because that is a power greater than I, and it has worked. Your power greater than you, you'll find it. Everybody has their own concept. It's a God of your understanding. Step number 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Moral inventory, well, I posted a link down below. It's a step 4 inventory worksheet. It can be a tough one. You have to be rigorously honest. When you go to AA, I suggest you find someone that has what you need, sobriety, preferably 3 or more years, to guide you through the steps. Because when we're just coming off of, for me, a 20-year hellish bender, my mind was gone. I didn't know. My decisions were tweaked. I needed someone else to make, my big decisions. So I started finally taking the suggestions of my sponsor. So find a sponsor when you get to the rooms, or just start scoping out and just listen to what they have to say. That's all you got to do. There's no commitment or anything. But they will walk you through this fearless moral inventory of yourself. And it's not as bad as it sounds. It's basically just basically a reality check. Just get real with yourself. I was fooling myself for 20 years. I finally got real, and we cleaned house. But that sheet down below will give you a better idea what it's all about, or the book, or aa.or na.org, either or. Step number 5 is admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Obviously, admitting to ourselves, that can be hard if you're in denial, but once you break through the barriers of your character defects in step 4, you start to live with honesty. To another human being, this was my sponsor. I also tell, good friends, maybe family, sometimes, just being honest. And you don't have to tell everybody everything, but in this step you do, after you take the inventory, tell yourself, another human being, the exact nature of your wrongs. The God thing, if you pray to God, that's great. You can tell him or her. For me, I practice, I admitting practice to my God, which is a group of drunks, by sharing in meetings, getting it out. We're only as sick as our secrets. When you share it, it cuts it in half, then cuts that in half, and pretty soon it's so dissolved that you're not carrying around this fear and guilt. This is what I've found. Number 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all of these defects of character. I was desperate by the time my drinking escapades and using escapades were over, so I was entirely ready to have something removed. I didn't have a God in the sky. I did have AA, and I had decided that their principles are more powerful than mine, and they're a power greater than me. So I started living by AA's suggestions, doing service work. I kept coming back. I got a sponsor. I read the book. I made this channel. I started giving back, and therefore I was entirely ready to have God remove all of my defects of character, and that's how I did it. You have a God of your understanding. You become entirely ready to have him remove. Step 6 is becoming ready. Step 7 is humbly asking him to remove your shortcomings. I talked to my sponsor, I talked to AA, and I also pray, because my higher power, which is currently AA, I don't know what it'll be in a year, I don't even know what it'll be next week, but I definitely know that AA is a power greater than I, so I just practice through the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous on removing my shortcomings, and it works. I'm by no means perfect, flawless, without character defects, but I'm constantly refining my character and bettering myself as a man and as a person who gives back. And AA did that. AA taught me that. Number 8 is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. All of these steps involve honesty, openness, and willingness. That's H-O-W, how. That's how it works. This one mentions became willing to make amends to them all. This doesn't mean necessarily I'm sorry. Financial amends is giving back to what you've taken. Emotional amends is giving back what you've taken. It's all about making right with who you've harmed. And step 8 is becoming willing to do that, because a lot of us aren't willing at first. Step 9 is made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. This, of course, means making those amends, and don't do it if it's harmful, or if the consequences are far greater than the benefit of making amends, which is essentially cleaning your own side of the street. Not everybody that you make amends to is going to want to hear it. However, you're cleaning your side of the street. This is all about cleaning house, letting go, and living life on life's terms. So if they don't accept your amends, then that's on them. You did your part. Steps 10, 11, and 12 are 3 that we practice throughout sobriety constantly. Step 10 is continue to take personal inventory when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Personal inventory is really nothing but just doing the next right thing at all times. And we practice this. This is a principle we practice in all of our affairs, and we get better and better at it. I know I have. When we were wrong, promptly admitted it. This is pretty much just making amends as soon as we realize we're wrong. So we don't carry baggage. So we don't carry guilt, and therefore don't carry fear. Fear and resentments will take us back to the bottle. Even if we're not wrong, even if the other person's wrong, we clear the air so there's no resentments. Resentments is a arch nemesis of the addict and alcoholic. Resentments, no room. It's a luxury of men and women that are not affected by this malady of addiction. 11 is sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. I pray because AA prays. I say the Our Father, I say the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This is a general acceptance prayer. These words are powerful. I may not believe that someone's listening to me. I may believe that they are. I'm still not sure. That's my own personal thing, but the words are powerful. If you say them out loud, it demonstrates humility, honesty, and a willingness to accept life on life's terms. Meditation, I study mindfulness and stuff. This is up to you, and your sponsor will give you a guide to what meditation is. They say prayer is talking to God, your God. Meditation is listening to, in my view, my environment, the world, a non-biased view of my life and my situation and the situation of others around me. Meditation is just being quiet and accepting life on life's terms. To me, improve our conscious contact with God. That's me staying close to AA and close to the principles, reading, talking to my sponsor, staying close to the fellowship, praying only for his knowledge and his will for us and the power to carry that out. That is the Serenity Prayer in a nutshell. Grant me the wisdom to know the difference, the strength to carry it out, and the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Number 12 is, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. So 12 is essentially why I made this channel, to carry the message in my own way. You carry the message through sponsorship after you've worked the steps and had a paradigm shift in the way you live and think and see the world. you can now teach someone. I've had a couple sponsees. One, actually the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book, you can learn a lot about these steps. One of my sponsees has that book, but that's okay because that book belonged to my sponsor. The key to this step, I think, is having had a spiritual awakening. Spiritual awakening, I mean, it says in the back of the book what a spiritual awakening is considered, or a spiritual experience is considered to be. But basically, we no longer, the obsession to drink and use has been removed, and we live a way of life that is useful to our fellows. We stay sober and we help others achieve sobriety. We practice these principles in all of our affairs, and those are the 12 steps. I've worked these steps a couple times, and I'm currently working them again. I practice them over and over. About number 1, we admitted we're powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. In my opinion, and in the opinions of many I know, is the most important. I have to constantly remember that. But since I practice these steps, and since I stay close to AA, the obsession to drink and use, and it was an obsession, every day I was either drinking, using, or thinking about drinking and using, and it has been removed. I haven't thought about it in 4 years, and that's the truth. Well, leave me a comment down below if you've practiced the 12 steps, what you think of the 12 steps. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, and until next time, just keep it real, keep it clean, and just keep doing this damn thing. Peace.